I come from the other side of spectrum because my father was an Austrian Nazi, and he joined the NSDAP, the Nationalsozialistische Arbeiterpartei, a Nazi party while it was still illegal in Austria. And as an illegal Nazi, he engaged in acts of terrorism against the Austrian government, which was resisting Hitler at that time. And my father was arrested and accused of participating in the assassination of the Austrian Chancellor on the 25th of July 1934. He was sentenced to death, but he was saved by the Anschluss when Austria was annexed to Nazi Germany. Two members of my father's death squad, he joined the SS after he was released from prison. And he was then sent for training to train the Einsatzgruppen. Those of you who don't know what the Einsatzgruppen were, they were the death squads of Nazi Germany who were killing the Jewish people. Two members of my father's death squad were two brothers from the Ukraine called Wilhelm and Johann Mauer, who were responsible for participating in the Blood Sunday in the Ukraine, where they killed 12,000 Jewish people, and then they had the audacity to charge the Jewish survivors for the expenditure of the ammunition. My father was expert in the shot in the neck technique, which the Nazis developed to kill the Jewish people with one shot in the neck. And after the war, my father fled with his team members and spent time in hiding. And one of the survivors from Mauthausen concentration camp was Simon Wiesenthal. And Simon Wiesenthal said if he would survive the death camp, he would give his life to tracking down the Nazi war criminals. And according to Simon Wiesenthal's testimony, one of the first people he was looking for was my father. So when I was born after the war, my father was in jail. I later discovered I was conceived in jail. I'm not going to go into details how this is possible, but one thing I need to tell you is that when you are conceived in prison as a son of Nazi war criminals, you do inherit the demons. And I just want to spare you the details of what it's like to grow up as the son of a Nazi who murdered the Jewish people. You become an unmanageable child full of hatred. And I can understand how the children of Hamas today have inherited the very same death spirit. And there's only one answer. I became very unmanageable, and because when somebody perpetrates crimes against the Jewish people, the curse of God comes upon those people. In the Tanakh, we read that the curse comes down to the second and third generation. I was second generation, and I was on the road to hell to become very similar to what my father was, until I met somebody who had the courage to say to me, Werner, you got two options. You either go to jail for life or to hell forever. Which is it going to be? And I didn't know what to do. I asked, what shall I do? And that man told me, for God so loved the world that he gave his Messiah, that whoever believes in him will not perish. And I believed that I was at first a struggle to believe in the Messiah. It was at first a struggle to believe in Jesus when the Nazis hated him. I was struck in the heart, I couldn't rest. I was sitting in a Catholic church, not knowing what to do. And I suddenly had the revelation that, let me just say, ladies and gentlemen, we are seeing and watching worldwide anti-Semitism, which is in the church today.
Yes.
It's in the Catholic Church, in the Lutheran Church, in every church today. There's a pro-Palestinian anti-Semitism. So I was one of those, sitting in the church, when I suddenly had an understanding during the confession of faith. I believe in God the Father. And for me the world stopped. because I began to realize God is the God of Abraham,
Isaac.
the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Jacob was changed when he met that God into Israel. I started to believe and understand that this God is the God of Israel. And that the Messiah is not a Catholic invention.
No.
He is the one who's Jewish, born in Bethlehem.
Amen.
And his name was Yeshua.
HaMashiach.
I came to understand. I had a revelation of the wonder of the God of Israel. And to this day, I do not understand why he reached out to me. But ever since then, I knew that the Jewish people are God's chosen people. I know that Cecil Rhodes believed that the English were God's chosen people, but it's not the English, and it's not the Americans, not the Saudis. It's the Jewish people are God's chosen people. And I learned that the land of Israel was given to the Jewish people as their homeland.
Amen.
And that the land of Israel is the Holy Land, where God started, and God will finish his purposes for this world. And I know today, and I stand with that Israel does not belong to the United Nations. It doesn't belong to the Palestinians, but it belongs to the Jewish people.
Amen.
Can you say amen to that?
Amen.
Now let me inject a little caution here. History has shown that whoever touches Israel touches the apple of God's eye. And those who tried to steal the land, whether the Assyrians, the Babylonians, or the Romans, they all perished. And when Germany tried to exterminate the Jews, Germany perished. And so will any individual who dares to touch the apple of God's eye.
Amen.
I'll be going to Ukraine soon, in the next few months. Well, I'll have to speak to the President, Zelensky, and explain to him what the Russians are doing to the Ukrainians is what the Ukrainians did to the Jewish people.
Yes.
And the second and third generation is suffering for the sins of the parents. And there's a solution. I came to love Israel, and I came to love the Jewish people. My best friends are Jewish. And this divine love I have for Israel and the Jews is mysterious. It is miraculous. It has revealed to me the mystery of Israel. It has empowered me to speak for Israel. It has given me the courage to stand for Israel and the Jewish people. And I do not have time to tell you the wonderful opportunities I have to bring reconciliation between the Jewish people, other people, the church, and Israel. The love for Israel brings me constant delight and admiration of the men and women in history who risked their life to save the Jews. The people who hid and protected the Jews, and we remember today those who organized the Kindertransport. The life of Corrie ten Boom and Irena Sendler and many others is a challenge to the world religious and political leaders whose right to lead does not come from religious or political appointment, but from God, who is calling everyone to take courage and stand against the evil of worldwide anti-Semitism. The life of Trevor Chadwick and Nicholas Winton is not just an example of true responsibility of us being our brother's keeper, but a challenge to all of us to not just remember their heroism, but aim to become like them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Werna. And then we'd like to have Len Osprey to come up now and